Lisa, Kejr, thank you so much for joining us. And over these months, as we've talked to victims and advocates, the one thing that is really clear is that these victims, when they're coming out of their life, really need a safe place to go. That it's so easy as they're coming out of jail or as they're being rescued to go right back into their life if they don't have a safe place to go. So talk to us about the kind of the many facets of that, about what you do here at Lighthouse for Life and how you can best kind of protect them.
Yeah, well, that's a loaded question, and I think it's important to remember that every survivor has their own story, and every story is different, and there can't be necessarily a cut and dry answer for what their needs are. And so clearly, though, a big need is shelter, is a place for them to stay. And for a lot of them, they have been either taken from a bad situation, so they can't necessarily go back into it, or they are so far away from home because they've traveled so much, or they're already in the foster care system when they're identified. So going back into another situation when they're taken out is often just not good to begin with. But then you add to that the layers of trauma that these survivors have gone through, and those aren't going to be met back in a regular situation to begin with. And so they need a place where someone is going to see their brokenness for what it is going to come alongside them, not to judge, but to support them in that, and is going to do it at their individual needs and base. And that's where our founder, Andrea, had the vision of opening a safe house for girls that they could come and have their needs met. And so we think of it as a very highly individualized, very trauma-informed setting where they can be who they are, and we can meet them where they are and then come alongside them in that journey for healing. And so many other places just fall short because of the vast array. You may have educational deficits because they were trafficked when they were 13, or they were trafficked when they were in 5th grade, and so their education stopped then, or has been very basic since then. So they have a lot of gaps in their education. You may have a lot of physical needs because they've been obviously abused physically, and whether it's sexually, whether it's just by beatings, whether it's drug related, like there's all sorts of needs physically so that they're going to need to be met in. You have the social. How do they trust? Who do they trust? What is love? What is my identity? All of that has been broken when a lot of them have given new names. A lot of them are disconnected from anybody in their life that they would have known, and so they're totally integrated in this new lifestyle. Well, you take them out of that, and who are they in that moment? So they need to learn what trust is. They need to learn what love is. They need to learn who they are. They need to do it in a way that they're not threatened and condemned and judged as they discover those things. And then you have, maybe spiritual needs that they have coming into this. We don't know their journeys or where they've been broken or what the relationship is. We are a faith-based organization, but that doesn't mean that the residents have to embrace our faith. And it's also very possible that they've been broken by some faith of some sort. And so giving them a space where they can again rediscover who they are in their spiritual realm as well. And so having a program that says we want to look at all of that. We don't want to just take bits and pieces, because any one of those factors on its own could set them back into the life because they're insecure. I think of it as I've traveled a lot overseas, and when I go overseas to something that's totally unfamiliar, then I'm uncomfortable right away. This isn't my culture. I may love it. I may actually still have safety in who I am, that I can actually embrace the differences around me, but they're still very different. And I still cling to my security comfort of I have a phone, I have internet, I have something that can connect me back to the people that I know. Take a survivor out of what they know and put them back into this world, what we're trying to integrate them back into, that's totally unfamiliar. It's a huge culture shock. And they need to have this space to walk through it at their own pace, and by people that are not going to condemn them.
So your vision then, the Lighthouse for Life vision, is the Karis House.
So Karis Home is a safe home. It's a long-term residential program for survivors. We're licensed for ages 12 through 21, females. Our target area is more so the teenagers. I think a lot of what we see here in South Carolina is 13, 17, somewhere around in there. But the idea of it going through 21 is we don't want to rush them out. We don't want them to reach a spot where we say, oh, sorry, because you're at 18, you have to leave, but they might not be ready yet. So our home, we are our own licensed school, our own private school actually at the house as well, so they can get that highly individualized education component as well. We have staff that are there 24/7. We meet those 5 different areas that I was listing before. We meet the physical, we partner with psychologists and counselors who are trauma informed, and so we help meet those needs for them. We do meet their social skills and try to help them in their spiritual journey as well out at the house. So, and they can stay, there's no time limit, there's no set program. They can come, and if it's not a lockdown facility, we want it to be for them as a safe spot. So they can come and stay as long as they need to or as little as they need to find the healing that they need.
How can the public, there's so much public awareness now around this issue, and so many people want to help. This seems like a great area where if the people want to donate, how can they help you in this home?
There's obviously a lot of needs at the home because of the confidentiality of trying to guard where the home is and make it a secure and safe space for the girls. It's hard to let a lot of people get connected into the program directly. We do have a small boutique on site that people have donated to. We do post on our Amazon account if we have specific needs at the house, whether it's just supplies. We're hoping to find some partners that can help with food drives to help lower our food bills and costs at the house and kind of do that on a regular basis in the home. And eventually, we're going to need to connect our girls with mentors and some life skills professionals and different people that can help them as they learn the skills they need to transition out of the program too. So those positions we're not ready for that yet. But when we are, there will be a lot of training. There will be a lot of one-on-one time with those people to prepare them to work with the residents.
If people donate to Lighthouse for Life, can they maybe designate it that it go to the home?
Absolutely, yes. People can donate. The needs at the house, it is expensive to run a program like this. We have a lot of staff that we're trying to support so that they can help take care of the girls and not burn out. And then if some are sick, we want to be able to help cover. And so there are a lot of people that are involved in this program and just meeting their needs so that they can be there, as well as the counseling and the education and the food and the outings. And it's life. We want this to be as normal of life as we can for the girls and give them experiences and take them to the beach and take them to Carowinds. And all of those cost money. So if people do want to designate directly towards the house, that would obviously be helpful.
And tell me again how many girls it can accommodate at one time, maximum?
We're going to do ours and set the max at 3 initially. Mm-hmm. That may change down the road. We believe in starting off anyways with the girls each having their own room, and that's what our house can accommodate right now. We also believe that it'll help us to highly individualize their care and come alongside them a little bit better, and maybe would reduce the insecurities that would lead them to leaving the program and going back into the life.
So you're really the goal is to make a big investment in these girls' lives to prevent re-victimization.
Yeah, we modeled after a program in Florida that does something similar. They actually have a couple in the home and keep it a little bit more like a family feel. We're not going to do that. We're going to do rotating staff at the house. But they keep their numbers small, and they've had over 80, I believe, come through, and only 4 have not been successful and ended up leaving. And successful is not the right word, because just because you leave a program doesn't mean it hasn't been successful for them. Right. But only, I think, 4 have left for some reason or another. So we feel like if we can help somebody all the way through their journey feeling secure, we want to do that. But we know that there's a lot of needs out there, and if at some point it seems like we can add more, then we're definitely open to that idea.
Lighthouse has a lot of tentacles out in the community. Can you tell me just a little bit about what you do and what the goals are? I know, so many programs talk about education and public awareness, but for you guys, it's really important that people understand and break a lot of myths as well.
It is. And I think that goes back to how Lighthouse for Life started. Our founder began by becoming aware herself. And then she did feel like, hey, the number one need is shelter. And so we want to get this house going. When Jen and I came on board about 5 years ago, we started learning more about it ourselves. We started spreading that awareness to others around us. And we both discovered, we were teachers before this, and we both discovered that there were students, there were people in our immediate lives that were either directly connected or indirectly connected to this life while we were with them, and we had no idea at the time. And I remember the first time I made that direct connection, it broke me. And I remember talking to Jen on the phone and saying, they don't have a chance. How are we going to help them see and know what human trafficking is so that they can avoid becoming prey? And so those that are around them can see to come alongside and help them. How do we help our communities understand this in an accurate picture, that it's not like The Taken, it's not like the way Hollywood glamorizes it, and there's a very real chance that it is in so many more people's sphere radius that they have no idea. And so we felt like education and awareness is more than just, hey, we're Lighthouse for Life. It's putting tools into people's hands that can help prevent them from becoming residents of Karis Home, or can prevent them from, or can help those who are already in find ways to get help now.
And so that means educating law enforcement.
So the bigger it got, the more we started to recognize that different people have different needs in that department. Law enforcement need to see it from this particular angle. And so helping to find the right law enforcement people to help educate, because we recognize that we weren't experts in any of those areas. So finding the right people, but saying educators need these tools, law enforcement need these tools, first responders need these tools, parents need these tools. Like everybody has, youth are going to look at it from a different perspective than somebody who's a EMS worker. And so we need to have presentations that are going to really hit home with, we want to speak your language. We want to come into your world and say, this is the perspective that you're going to probably see. And so then this is what you can do with that. And here's tools and resources and things that we can connect you with that hopefully will be helpful.
I think the biggest aha moment for me throughout just getting educated as I listen to folks like you is just, this is all about people in my own sphere. Like, it's the people you let into your home. It's the people next door. I mean, this is not some stalker who's and sometimes it is, right. but most of the stories are, the people that you let into your lives that kind of betray you. Or
one of the best definitions that I like, layman's definitions for human trafficking, is selling somebody's vulnerabilities for profit. And everybody has a vulnerability. Some of them have a lot more stacked against them, but everybody has a vulnerability. And I've spoken in a number of different youth groups, and almost everyone, by the end of the conversation, at least one person has a direct connection to a possible trafficking situation, or are being groomed, or are somewhere in that process. And these are people that you wouldn't think of. We've also had so many from these awareness trainings that have called us up later and have said, like, somebody at a church, man, my niece was in this relationship and I had no idea until it was too late, and now what can we do? Or people at businesses that we do business with just because we're a nonprofit business, all of a sudden we're getting phone calls from them with direct connections. And so you're right, it's the more people see and understand it, the more they're recognizing this isn't my story. Or we had a call the other day from somebody who had heard Jen speak at a church, and then connected her with his fire department because he was a firefighter, and so we did a training there. And then he and his wife were at a restaurant and noticed the conversations from the people, so a group of guys at the table next to them, and realized that their conversation sounded an awful lot like trafficking. I mean, we can't verify it, but they were talking about how to go get a girl from different places like Walmart and things like that. And we're doing these different strategies. And they noticed that this couple was listening in, and so then they left, and their car was this van with the windows all blacked out and stuff. And so they got suspicious. So they did the right thing, took the information from the trainings that they had, immediately did not try to intercept it on their own, but got details, contacted law enforcement from these local counties around here, and were able to get the right people connected to investigate to see if there was something to that. So for them, it wasn't somebody immediately in their circle, but it was in their life. It was going out to eat, and they were able to recognize the possibility.
What, and I don't know if you can quantify this or not, but what kind of in the course of your day, because this has got to be a tough job and it's got to wear you down, but what do you quantify as success? Is that what you just told? Is that a success story?
Man, that's a question we ask a lot. We as a faith-based organization, I say success is obedience to the Lord. Success is following His leading. What He does and what we've got to witness and watch Him do has been remarkable. I think success is being willing to do whatever you can in this fight. If we're talking about success within human trafficking, it's saying, hey, how am I using my time today towards that end? It's not always going to turn out the way we think. I mean, even at the house, I'm not a big statistics person because I feel like they can often get misinterpreted, or else they don't bring in every aspect, every facet. But it takes somebody an average of 7 times of getting out to actually stay out. And so you say, okay, well, we've had a house full of girls and then something's happened and they've all left, so we're a failure. No, you're not a failure, because you provided them one more step of love and support, and show them what that was, and maybe they just weren't ready to really see it or to understand it, and that's okay. They got to do it at their time. So that's not success. Success was being willing to meet them where they're at. Success is saying, I'm willing to answer this phone call and talk to this person and offer them something, and then hopefully it's something that they can use. Or it's, it's, the fight is so huge, and there are so many different needs out there. Success is just being willing to be a part of the fight.
It's so important to remember. And I always have to tell myself this: you never plant and reap in the same season.
That's right. And you don't know, when we take a phone call, because we get phone calls from either survivors or different agencies working with survivors or things like that quite a bit too. So that's actually kind of a third component of what Lighthouse for Life is starting to build, is even though we don't have residents in Karis Home yet, hopefully in the next few months we will, but we can't just leave them hanging. That just goes against everything who we are. But we know we can't just provide direct services to everybody either, or else Karis Home will never open. But we can take a phone call and we can listen. And so we're starting to develop, we have contacts all over the state, all over the nation, of different resources. In this series, you've talked with a lot of different people. You've talked with legal support, you've talked with survivors themselves, you've talked with community members, and survivors need all of that. They have so many areas that if they don't get those needs met, then they don't know what to do but to go back to what's familiar, even if they don't like what's familiar. And so if we can help connect them to all of those different resources and people now, then hopefully that is bringing them that much closer to finding the support that they long for. So we do a lot of that. But that doesn't mean that everybody who calls is ready. We had a phone call the other day, and she was very hurt. Her story is heartbreaking. They all are. And she was very insecure. How do I know I can trust you? How do we know we can listen? That's okay. We said, we understand. We can't make you trust us, but we're here, and this is what we're here for. And if you come to a place where you want to try to trust us, we're here, and we can try to help you, connect you to what you need. But it's okay if you're not ready for that. Here's our number if you ever are. That's still success, because we answered the phone and we talked to her.